3D Zombie Acrylic Nail Art Tutorial by Hotpinkzebrapolish.
Hi everybody, in today's video I'm going to show you a really cute little 3D zombie that is actually really colorful. I tried to incorporate as many colors and tones in this as I could. So I hope you guys like it as much as I do, and don't forget to click subscribe to see all my future Halloween videos as well.
So I'm going to begin with an overlay that is kind of a really nice icy blue into a gray color. So here is the first layer, the little bit of blue, so apply a bead near the cuticle and brush that down so it kind of fades. And then for the gray, apply that from about the midpoint of the nail and then brush that up towards the blue and then kind of blend that down towards the tip of the nail. And my gray is super pigmented, which doesn't really lend itself to making those nice smooth gradients as well. So I'm going to add some more blue on top of it and blend that back down. And you can keep going back and forth with your two gradient colors and keep adding layers until you're happy with it. I was fine that it wasn't a completely smooth gradient because just the nature of this design in general, it doesn't need to be. And then I'm going to encase the nail with a layer of clear acrylic to make sure it is nice and strong. Just like so, and then I'm going to be filing this nail into shape with my e-file. I started with a coarse bit to remove any bulk, and then after that I went through with a much finer bit just to make it a little bit easier to work on top of. So there's the finer bit, that's basically like buffing it. So if you have a buffer block, you can do it with that as well. So now with a muted tone green color, so this is kind of like a shimmery, mossy type of green, I'm going to be creating just my first basic layer to my zombie. So no details at this point yet. Just add that first head, cheekbones, jaw type of shape. And then I'm going to be adding his neck coming down, and then I'm going to start carving in some of my details. So I pushed in for a blunt force trauma on one side, a couple scrapes on the other side of the top of his head, and I'm going to create a little indent for where his mouth will be, and then for his nose. And then using the tip of my brush, I'm going to create his two eye cavities. One of them a little smaller than the other. So I want him to be kind of comical, something a little bit goofy, and yet still kind of gross. So I wanted to find that balance between funny and gross in this design, and I'm actually very happy with how he turned out. I'm going to add a little bit more flesh to the one side of his face. I didn't want him to be completely symmetrical. I wanted him to be a little lopsided and just a little bit like he's had a rough zombie life. So I've got his other ear. So the side that has the ear, it also has a bigger eye socket. That's kind of my less, less decomposed side. So that's also the side that I will have the eye in later. So now with black, red, blue, pink, whatever purple colors you want to have on hand, go ahead and start adding some more little details to him. So in that blunt force trauma, I added kind of some bruisey colors, blues and purples, and then add some red in those gashes on the other side of his head. I filled in his mouth with a thin layer of black. I'm also going to add that thin layer of black inside both of the eyes. The eye that's a little bit bigger, a little bit more open, I didn't add as much to it, and in fact I actually took some of my dark blue and I blended out the bottom of it, so it sort of faded out. It wasn't just a sharp line as much as the other side was. Add some of that black into the nose area, and then add just some colors, some shadowing, some shading with those colors of acrylic anywhere you'd like to. So all of this stuff could be done with paint later, so that's kind of where you have choices that you can play around with. And typically I would do mostly painting on my designs, but I decided with this one to just kind of play around with color acrylic and see what all I could accomplish in my tone with that. So I've got a little bit more red here and there, and then taking a little brighter shade of green, so green that isn't quite as gray tone, a little bit more intense color. I'm going to be adding some little extra highlights here and there on his face. So I'm kind of intensifying his cheekbone on that one side, the top of where his nose would be, around that blunt force trauma, on his eyes, and all of those little areas. He's still hanging on a little bit on his mouth too, where his lips would be if he had actual defined little lips. Just like so. Just all these different colors give him so much character and so much life. So if you have like all your colors of colored acrylic out and you can just play around with them and grab what you feel like is appropriate at that time, that is the best way to do a design like this. That way you won't be hindered by, oh, I'd have to get that color out if I were to use it. You can just say, hey, I'm going to use this one, and grab it. So now with some pale yellow, I decided to add his teeth and one eye. So I'm going to start with his little teeth right there. And before you add his teeth, if you do fill in his mouth with black acrylic like I did, make sure that you wait for that black acrylic to dry or to set or cure, however you want to set or cure is the appropriate word, but you want to make sure that it is completely hardened before you add the pale yellow teeth, or pigment from the black underneath will leach into your teeth and pretty much just turn them brown. And while brown teeth isn't an issue for a zombie, they won't show up as well. So if you want them to actually show up and be nice crisp little teeth, let that underneath really harden. And then after you have that, I just took a little bit more of that yellow acrylic and added a single eye in the larger eye socket. So I'm going to do some outlining with black paint. I didn't do nearly as much coloring and other detail with acrylic paint as I would on some of my designs. Like I said, I did more of that with the colored acrylic. So really you just have to clean up anything that needs it. So that's not really that much as far as the black paint is concerned. So just kind of outlining his teeth a little bit where it's necessary, adding a little bit of outlines here and there to make everything look a little bit more crisp and a little bit more sharp and easy to see. Little lines wherever you feel like you need them. I'm sorry I'm off camera. I hate it when that happens. When I get in the mode of painting, I forget that I need to make sure I'm still on the camera. But add a little bit of yellow highlighting here and there, like a really bright sunny yellow onto some of the green areas. That'll really kind of intensify them. And then I also added his little pupil in his eye. And then after you have all of that painting done, you're going to need to go through and apply some gel sealer over the background, which I will show you in just a second. I'm just adding a little details here and there. So add that gel sealer over the background. And then after that is cured, apply some matte top coat over Mr. Zombie. And he is all done. Like I said, add as much color as you can to this design. It just is so much fun to do. So I hope you guys like this as much as I do. And please share any recreations with me on Facebook or Instagram. I would absolutely love to see them. And I will see you all in my next video. Bye!